Joel Freed coming to talk to us about Poker Tracker. As you know, we have a great partnership going with Poker Tracker in this class. They sent along Joel Freed to teach us analytics. Joel is a VIP support director for Max Value Software, who's the parent company of Poker Tracker. He has taught analytical techniques to some of the biggest names in the poker industry, and he's come by to teach us that sort of thing also. So with that, I'm going to pass it along to Joel.
Thanks. I hope you all have had a chance to install Poker Tracker by now. Poker Tracker is the industry-leading analysis and tracking software for online poker players. We've been around since 2001, so we've been able to grow as the poker economy has grown. It started out as software only for people who played Limit Hold'em, and it has exploded. We do Omaha now, obviously No Limit and Hot Limit Hold'em, and we have extensive tournament support, some of which we'll be talking about today. What Poker Tracker does is it can help you identify similar decision points to help you improve your game. So Poker Tracker is not going to do it all for you, but it's going to help you find the spots where you can improve and make better decisions. So what do I mean when I say decision point? A decision point is any time in a hand where you can make some action. So you can check, you can bet, you can call, you can raise, or you can fold. At any point in the hand where you can do that, I'm going to call that a decision point. And when you play poker, after you've played for a while, or if you've already played for a while, you'll realize you naturally remember similar decision points. If you're the short stack in a tournament and it's folded to you in a small blind, you're going to be able to lump all of those kinds of decisions together so that when you face that decision the next time around, you already have some kind of history to build on. And using Poker Tracker to analyze the interesting decision points is really a very effective way to improve your game, because the next time you come to a similar decision, you will already have some memory of what you believed to be right last time you were doing something like this. So what makes a decision point interesting? It's interesting when you aren't sure what the right answer is. And that may seem kind of obvious, but when the expectation of the outcomes is really close together, you're going to sit at the table and you're going to agonize over it. And that's where you see people on television where they're sitting there for minutes and they're going, oh, I don't know what to do. And those are the interesting decisions. And as you start out, you will find that you really don't know what you're doing a lot. All decision points are going to be interesting until you start to have some kind of heuristic, some kind of rubric for when to call, when to fold. So here is a situation. We are in the big blind. It's 100, 200 blinds. This is a tournament. In this tournament, it was a single table tournament. Let's say you bought in for $10. $50 goes to first place, $30 goes to second place, and $20 goes to third place. So there's 4 players left here. You have a chip stack of 1,430 chips, and the cutoff here, this player, opened all in for 5,700 chips. The player on the button folded, and this player called for 2,980 chips. So these two guys are already all in. You have ace-queen of clubs, so you're ace-queen suited, and you have 1,430 chips back in this spot. I want you to take a second, and I want you to think about this decision, whether in this spot, knowing nothing about these two players, you don't really know too much about them right now. We'll get into that a little bit later. But without knowing anything really about these guys, they're just your average players in the game. Calling or folding. I want you to think about that for a second. So I'll point out another feature here. For those of you who are familiar with pot odds, your odds here are 3.35 to 1 to call. If this was a cash game, if you had 23% equity against both of those hands, you could call profitably. Obviously, this is a tournament situation, which affects things drastically right here. But yeah, so the total pot size is 4,810. We have 1,430 to call. So if you believe that this is a very easy decision, raise your hand. 1. All right, we've got a few. Awesome. Okay. You guys are right. If you think it's a call, I want you to raise your hand. 1 call. So the people who think it's close, if you think it's a call, raise your hand. Got a few. It's not even close. It's this is so. Let me talk a little bit about what's going on in this view. This is from our ICM quiz. Poker Tracker has a feature that lets you practice in these end of tournament situations, which you can access through the Tools menu bar, Tools ICM quiz. And in this spot, what it's telling you is if you push based on an average player model for these two players, your equity in the tournament is 9.49%, based on the expectation of this hand against these two players when they're all in for average opponents. That means that you could expect to make $9.49 with the prize pool breakdown. If you fold, however, you have an expectation of 18.67%, and the reason for this is that it's reasonably likely that the player with 2,980 chips is going to go out, and once you do that, you are guaranteed third place. So this is a clear fold. It's even, in fact, a clear fold if you have kings. And you can go further in the Poker Tracker ICM tool. If you click the results link that's right here, it will bring up the full math, and I'm not going to go through the ICM math right now for you. I know you're going to go through that later in the course. But what you can do is you can change their ranges right here by clicking these buttons. And so I've set them to 100% range. That means these players are playing any two cards. So even if you knew before the hand that they pushed all in blind, they didn't even look at their hands, they could have any two cards, either one of them. It's still a fold, because fold equity still is close to 19%, and your push equity is 15%, even though you're going to win half of all hands against two random cards. So before we talk a little bit more about how to use Poker Tracker to analyze your game and see where you can improve, I wanted to talk a little bit about how you can use Poker Tracker and not get better at poker. Because there's some great and interesting stuff in Poker Tracker that you can spend lots of time looking at that will not help you at all make a better decision. So, looking at graphs. People love looking at their results graph. And here's a nice results graph. You started off at hand 1, you had a nice run here, you went steady for a little while, you won a few big hands around hand 183,000, and then you end up about plus 860,000 euros. Now, since poker is a series of decision points, the question is, which decisions would you make differently based on this graph? And the answer is, absolutely none of them. Knowing that you did this well in this spot is not going to help you make better decisions in the future. It may allow you to buy a house in the Boston area, but it will not help you actually play better poker. Another way you will not get better at poker by using Poker Tracker is by looking at hands which we call walks. A walk is when you're in the big blind and everyone folds to you. You win the small blind, which is nice, but you didn't do anything. There's no way in which you could make a better play in that hand. And I know a lot of heads-up sit-and-go players who play two-player tournaments like to look at those kinds of spots, and they want to know, well, how much am I winning there? And the answer is it doesn't matter, because you can't change your play based on full view. Another thing that people want to do with Poker Tracker that won't help them get better at poker is analyzing luck. We have several tools for luck in Poker Tracker. This graph is from the cash game side. It's actually, you'll notice the normal curve. And this is actually normalized. So what you're seeing here is each dot tells you how often you're hitting your draws relative to expectations. So this player is more than one standard deviation above the mean at flopping 3 of a kind when he holds a pocket pair. This is called flopping a set. And that's fantastic. He's probably making lots of money when he has these pocket pairs because making a set is a very powerful hand. However, he's not going to be able to change the way he plays by knowing that he's been lucky in the past, because he may or may not continue to be lucky in the future. I also have a friend who spent lots of time building lots of reports to see if he was getting dealt aces more regularly than average. And while it's great to be dealt aces more regularly than average, and you will make lots more money if you get dealt aces more regularly than average, knowing what happened last week will not help you. the next time you're sitting at the poker table. The last thing I'm going to say about Poker Tracker, and this is a little bit trickier. There are lots of statistics and lots of numbers